Well, each week a group of insiders joins me to offer perspective on some of the week's top stories. This week sounding off on the big story, Amazon's split decision. Also, Infosys breaking ground on a major USA education campus in Indianapolis. We'll talk about those stories and a lot more. Our insiders this week, TECHPOINT President and CEO Mike Langellier. Also, CLEAROBJECT CEO John McDonald. And OneZone President Mo Merhoff, OneZone, the Chamber of Commerce for Fishers, and also Carmel. And welcome one and all to another edition of the Insiders, the Amazon edition, I guess, this time around. It was the big announcement everyone had waited for. Mo, I'll start with you. Just your reaction. Amazon, of course, picking New York City and Northern Virginia, bypassing Indianapolis. Indy made the top 20, the Indy region. Your thoughts?
First of all, I do think that a top 20 is a perk. That's wonderful. We should feel complimented about that. However, I think the Nashville announcement stung just a bit because, gosh, that seems like we would have been a player then. I understand that there's some personnel involved with someone who's on the committee to choose the sites actually used to do economic development for Nashville.
And that was to explain, Nashville, as part of this announcement, was chosen for a logistics hub, a center, operations center. Nashville was chosen for a big investment.
Right. So obviously Nashville has won a lot of accolades. They're pretty hot right now for a lot of reasons. They very strategically focused on recognizing where their needs were and then gone after them. And they're kind of all in on that. So instead of the myriad groups doing different things with workforce, they've got a little bit of a combined focus on that. And so that one, I would have thought we would have been an excellent site for that. I hope it can be a process and that we don't just say, well, that didn't happen. So maybe from that we have takeaways that we can change and work on so that the next opportunity like that makes the most sense for us.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's practical to understand why Amazon would say for the 50,000, 25, and 25,000 they would pick the major metro corridor between New York City and DC. Nashville was a surprise, and I think the thing that we need to kind of be startled by is the comment that the Amazon SVP Jay Carney said it's a city pointing toward the future. It made itself very appealing for investment. It's a place where if people don't already live there, they're excited about moving there. That's always an important issue for us. And I think one of the things that we knew going into the bid process was Amazon, one of the allures of Amazon was that it's a big consumer name, right? And that 50% of the people that work at Amazon in Seattle moved from somewhere else to work there. And so that's one of the attraction points. Where and Nashville has this trend going on as well, where about 30% of their population is moving in, not only from not from Tennessee, but not even from surrounding states, from other places. And so that's something that we've got to own that as well and create that same kind of dynamic, because we have a lot of positive momentum. But I think I agree. There's truth in John's comment that we dodged a bullet. Like there would be consequences of that if we had 50,000 jobs, for example. But I also think there's danger in that. In that comment, because it can lead people to rest on their laurels and to say, hey, we're okay. Like let's kind of just let's take the slow and steady path. We're at a place where we can't afford to do that, and I really think that we have to look back at when Indianapolis has really made steps in the past, in the 70s and 80s, and what we do with sports. And we didn't just try to attract talent or to attract economic vitality. We hunted it. We hunted organizations to go after it. We hunted talent to come to the city. We have to do that again, and because otherwise we risk not being able to actualize our full potential.
Well, I want to get to that and what's next in a minute, but John, to your comments, you were very great things to say about the bid process and the folks putting the work in. But you contend that, and others have expressed the same sentiment, is that may have dodged a bullet because of what it would have meant.
Traffic, housing costs, but most importantly, talent and skills. We are already crushed trying to get people to work for our tech companies. This would have made it so much worse because the mechanisms for delivering talent to us, either from flying in from other places to work here or delivering it locally, are just, they're bent, right? And we have to figure out how to get organized and address that issue, that we keep coming up last and final and behind everybody else. not going to work for us to land places like that if we don't fix it.
Yeah. So what's next? Because I hear this, and I've heard it from others too, that Indianapolis, Indiana more broadly needs to be aspirational and invest in talent. And cheapest isn't always better, the cost of doing business thing.
Yep.
A number of those themes kind of came out of the announcement here.
Well, to John's point, I think identifying the reasons and the lessons to take away, and then organizing ourselves to do something about them. And this isn't something we haven't done in the past, and it's not something that the business community certainly couldn't or wouldn't get behind. I think the influx of people is also true. Our workforce issues are not just that we can't get Johnny to want to be an electrician. It's that we are behind in the number of people who are moving into our state. We lag. If we just had the average influx of the other 50 states, we'd have more people to be able to train for these jobs. That's not happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've made really good strides in doing things to pipeline in talent from schools, for example. The extern program is an example of that. Bringing in, we had over 1,800 applicants. Over 1,600 of them are software engineers, data scientists, cybersecurity, or IT. We have an absorption rate challenge that we have to have employers that absorb that talent at a faster rate so that we can ingest it, the talent that we have readily available. But the other thing is we've got to get super serious about not just attracting and marketing to, but hunting and selling to the talent that is in other parts of the country and making the case for why this is the place to be.
Can this, John, in your view, serve as a wake-up call in a sense when it comes to talent? The state and others, the tech community have been talking about this talent, some would say a talent crisis that we need to do it. Is this a wake-up call?
Look at what happened here. Just this amazing collaboration between people like Mayor Fadness and Mayor Hogshead and the INDY Chamber, Michael Huber, and all these people that come together. We have to be ready to do that every week and proactively going after these things, not waiting for these bids to come out. It's like a Super Bowl bid every week. And when you look at the scene and ask, what's the clunker in our story? It's this talent issue. And so we have to have that same sense of energy of coming together to go fix that, or we're going to continue to place second, third, or 20th.
Yeah, I want to hit on a couple of other announcements this week that deal to an extent with the talent situation in Fishers. You mentioned Mayor Fadness, new $14 million project, this hub and spoke design center, which the roots are in Carmel, but they're going to have this center. Talk about that.
If you're trying to develop a new process, a new sort of design ethos, some product that you're trying to build, maybe it's for design, for construction, for architecture, this is really difficult if you don't have a nice place to do this and sort of tinker and work. And so some of the leaders in Hamilton County who have been in this business say we need to figure out a place, a maker space is what they call this, where we can invite entrepreneurs to come in. And that's just more of the exact same theme that you see over and over again from the city of Fishers. It started with Launch Fishers, the IoT lab, the yard for culinary things, and now here for maker space for people that are in the physical trades.
Yeah. Well, again, adds one more layer to that Fishers story.
Exactly, the place for entrepreneurs. And that has huge benefits. First of all, it's the encouragement of a younger entrepreneur, a younger tinkerer who's on to a new idea, to find the place to grow our own new businesses and to create excitement around that. Fishers has done a fantastic job, and their model really could be utilized in a lot more places throughout Indiana to be able to create the kind of spaces that attract the people that we're all after.
Yep. Mike, another big announcement this week, Infosys, the Indian tech giant, committed to 3,000 jobs over time, breaking ground on its big USA training center at the old airport site.
Yeah, this is a great example, and I think it gets lost in the 2,000 jobs or 3,000 jobs. You know, later it made bigger to 3,000 jobs. What's really going on here? This is not just an employment hub. That was the initial announcement. This is something bigger, which is they're going to hire 10,000 people across North America. Every one of them is going to cycle through this training center for 8 to 12 weeks in order to get trained. So I think it's great for two things. One, it's kind of educational tourism. We're bringing people in from other parts of the country to come here. That's a great thing. The other thing is it's setting a terrific example and even creating a resource where really some substantive training is going to happen, and then talent is going to get applied to to specific projects to go work on clients that they have, many locally, like Lilly, Cummins, Anthem, et cetera. So this is a big deal. It's a 250-seat facility, initially 125,000 square feet. It's going to be, phase 2 is going to be even bigger, so it's a big deal.
To you on this one too, Mike, more news, more development happening in Fort Wayne. Importance of, we've been talking a lot about central Indiana here this week, but there are other pockets around the state that are doing things as well.
I love to see places like Fort Wayne, on a roll too. In talking with a friend of mine, Eric Doden, up there, who's at the chamber leadership there, he said that in last year they had $1 billion in housing permits, and they're on track to do the same this year. And so just a tremendous amount of momentum around the electric works facility there. The housing prices, he said some of the stories that he's heard of the houses going from $25,000 pre-electric works to $125,000 post-electric works. So that's the kind of placemaking and development that we do.
Well, and I heard it again today, but the heading up economic development anymore is human capital. That's what's going to drive where we go.
Yeah. You got 30 seconds, John. We'll give you the last word on this.
There it is again: skills and talent, skills and talent, skills and talent. Right? What is the constant theme through all these things? It's sort of breaking this sort of myth that the only way for you to succeed is if you go to Purdue and get a degree like I did. Well, I'm happy for it, and I love the team at Purdue, but it isn't the only way, and it's the only way that we're going to be able to succeed in this new data-driven economy is to get everybody pulling the oar.
All right, great conversation as always on the Insiders. John McDonald, Mo Merhoff, Mike Langellier. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this.